Thank you. I can see the crowd is now thinned down. We had a great crowd in the morning, but the closing sessions are always like this. So let's, before we recap the day, I thought let's touch upon talent. We did speak about it through Tanu's session, the panel, but a little more than that, and I've made some notes and I'm going to use my notes as well. Yeah, so we discussed things like AI and digital, very different from what the kind of work we do. We talked about sustainability. We also talked about profitability and risk management in between, right? Cybersecurity we touched upon. So what kind of people we need? I think that's where the whole thing starts. How do we do talent development and focus on talent? What kind of people we need? In my opinion, I think you need people who are more business focused. That's very clear. I think it came across all panels that people who understand business, who are more business focused, who will not say no, but find a way to get things done in a compliant manner, of course. So that's one call we have, and we need to figure this out, that how do we get our people trained to be good business partners. But that's number one in my view. Second is skill to understand technology. It's easy to say AI, digital, cyber security, but do we even understand this? How do we skill ourselves to understand this animal called technology, which is so alien to us, has been alien to us? Forget the 22-year-old people joining today, they may have a better idea of it, but we don't. So I think we need to reskill ourselves and our people, mid-management people, to understand technology and use of technology as a strategy, not as a tactic. Tactic we can use. We can have an SAP, we can run SAP, do our accounting, do our balance sheet, do our P&L cash flows. But I'm talking about more than that. How do you use technology, digital and AI to create trends, to create forecasts, to marry it with supply chain, to marry it with the company's long-term strategic goals? I think we can really use technology, and for that we need to reskill ourselves. Our people need to be skilled to understand, not to write coding, not to do coding, but to understand what goes in it, what kind of risks come with it, how to manage it, how to even have a conversation with the IT head, with the CIO, to have a meaningful conversation. What is a CRM? Half the people don't understand CRMs. What is a CRM? How do you acquire customer data, and all kind of customer information? How do you process it and use it for financials and for forecasting and for budgeting, long-term planning and short-term planning? It's an important skill I've always found, and there are gaps in it, and we do need to really have our people skilled in it. I mean, that's the future we are talking about. Along with that, I think comes the risk management due to unknowns. There are a lot of unknowns around us. We talked about ESG, Giri's session. Entire thing is completely unknown to us today, but it's an important session. We learned that it's very important. So if that is important, there's cyber security, which is very important. There's digital important. AI is playing a big role. And there are many unknowns, and the risks go up. So I think we need to be very active in risk management. So the mindset has to be that there are risks and there are governances, there are issues. How do I manage this? How do I find ways to mitigate these risks? I think that becomes an important skill to possess. We talked about governance and compliance needs. I think Sandeep Batra's that session which we had in the morning, we talked about some 20,000 compliance requirements. So compliance and governance requirements, how do our people deal with it? Are people equipped to understand, and are they trained to really deal with it? That's an important point in my opinion for people's training. And need to really keep learning newer and newer skills. These are known today. There may be more which will come in the future. So I think how do we really, keep training the people and also retrain them on time? I think that's the need I am finding. And on top of it, we need to have a people who are skilled in communication, skilled in communicating this to internal and external stakeholders. I think that's critical. Seat at the table where there's a CEO sitting, there is a board sitting, there are business heads, there's HR head, IT head. I think our people need to communicate, discuss, challenge, review, and then also give them information, required information. I think this is again becoming important. So the way to really do this is get the right people in, but if we don't have them, that doesn't mean we fire people, but skill them, train them, internal training, external training, both are available, and have a metric in a company where, say, I'm going to provide, let's say, 7 to 10 days of training days to each of my employees. It's a very simple metric which I've used in the past, it's worked, that 7 to 10 days I'm going to have a training days for these people. Now, you may not meet the goal, but have a goal. That I will make sure that people are released for training, skilling, reskilling, along with the budget, of course. I mean, there's a cost involved in it if you're going to send them to, let's say, an IM or ISB or wherever, or even, you will find a lot of specialized institutes as well where they can be sent to understand and to skill themselves. Some may need mentoring, some may need coaching. Now, there are mentors available, there are coaches available, and they come at a very small cost, not a big cost. But I think it's important to find that there is a need for doing this. There is a nice way of bucketing people in 3 separate ways. A, who are your high potential people who are really, really superhumans, you find them, they're the best. Second, which are your sustained high performers. In our finance group, there are very sustained, we can't live without them. But we know that they may not grow very much, but we can't live without them. You need them. We all have many people like that in our departments. And third, who are not delivering on the goals. So I think there's a way to deal with all 3 of them. And while it may apply to people even outside finance, but at least for this discussion, the way we are seeing it is, let's pick up the first group. What do we need to really take care of these people? In the current environment where technology is coming in and all these kind of things are coming in and changes every few months or quarters. Yeah. One of the ways to handle this is that we rotate them faster. Faster rotation in different jobs. Let's say about 18 months, 18 to 24 months, 1.5 to 2 years is a time frame youngsters want to work on a particular job. In our time, we used to have 1 year to kind of settle down, then a couple of years to deliver, then 1 more year to perform, and then 4 years rotation. That thing is completely gone. Youngsters don't stay that long. High performers don't stay that long. They have to be rotated much faster. And with change in technology every now and then, I think it's important that they keep learning fast. They get reskilled faster. So those people need to be handled with a faster rotation and also early exposure to top management. Put them up front in in a board meeting to present, for example. Even a small part, and you're standing behind those people. Not that she or he is going to blow it up or make a big mistake, but if a mistake is made, let them make a mistake. Tell your CEO beforehand that I'm going to get somebody young to present. So don't get agitated about some mistake being made in presentation. But you're always there to present. We've done it. I've done it. It works beautifully. It works really well. And you actually get a big buy-in from these people. They really like it, and the challenge is accepted very early. It helps in communication, helps in exposure, helps in handling senior management. The skills come in very early. And first step in partnering, I think they actually pick it up. And then, of course, building skills in newer areas, identifying them ahead of time and then build those skills for these people. Second part, the high sustained performers, I think there comes a reward part. They can be retained with the higher rewards, can be financial rewards, can be rotation but not 18 months but more like a 3-year rotation. Their rotation can be a little longer, 3 to 4 years. not 1.5 or 2 years, because they like to be on a job much longer. And they may not adopt technology so fast, but they'll keep performing in a sustained manner once they understand what it is. So I think that's where they, and they are more loyal to the organization. That's been our experience at least. And some kind of a retention bonus works for them very well. It doesn't work for the first kind, but they'll move on. They'll not worry about retention bonus. Second kind of people, they know their market is also limited, because they don't have that highest potential, but they're going to perform at a high level. And the third kind of people are people who are not performing. I think we need to take those calls very early, put them on a performance improvement plans called PIPs in some companies or whatever it is called, and if they don't perform, exit. There, the ruthlessness has to come in, that it's not working out, either outplace them, help them get jobs outside, or if nothing else works, you have to really call a spade and say, it's not working out, let them go. So I think these are the three different ways of handling three different sets of people, but with an intent to develop skills in the areas we all discussed today. I think that's how I look at it. My time's already up on this, so maybe one or two questions if anybody has, or we'll wrap it up after this. Yeah.
So this is as far as retaining and growing and nurturing talent is concerned. Now with the changing landscape and all this environment, how do you make this an effect while you are hiring new talent? How has that changed in terms of assessing and hiring new talent?
So hiring new talent, one good thing is people are smarter. They understand, the current ways of working, technology, and they don't care for brands or the corporate reputation anymore. They're not going to, care for a J&J, HUL, or Birlas, or Tatas, or any big names. They want this, what Percy said in the previous panel. Is it a fun place? Do you believe in values? Do you believe in sustainability, for example? Already being talked about by youngsters. I know, company where a young person actually did not join because that company was dealing with the vendors who had a bad human rights record. Employee did not join. She refused to join. Youngster. Yeah. Another place I know where this youngster challenged the CEO that you should not be, taking work, $1 million project, consulting project from a company because that company had a bad sustainability record. And the CEO put it to vote, and 80% people said, don't take this work. So that's the kind of people talking about. So, chilled out place, informal atmosphere, culture very friendly, fun place, moving away from input to output. That's an important point, which I personally feel and I believe in, that the time of saying input hours are important. I think we move to output. What is your output? Output has become more important. It doesn't matter whether you put in 2 hours or 8 hours. It doesn't matter. You can take 6 hours off. It's fine with me, but output has to happen. Recording of, you tell the current employees to go and punch cards. They will hate you for that. I will hate you for that if you ask me to do it, for example. Right? So, but if you say that, measure my output. If I'm doing well, if I've done my job and more than that in a less number of hours, give me either more work or let me be on my own for those number of hours. So that's a new culture, new kind of people. You have to create that culture and environment and work with the management, CEO and business leaders and HR head, who's your partner always, by the way, in the company, to make these things happen. They're very doable. These youngsters and the young crowd comes with very high skills, will remain provided you provide these inputs, put them up in front of top management early. They'll do a great job. They prepare very well. I've had cases where I've sent my finance controller on vacation on 26th of December. December end is my year end. And she just told me that I'm going to be in St. Petersburg in Russia with my family, but don't worry, work will get done, you'll not get a single call. The closing will happen on 31st December. everything will close, and 1st January you will have your numbers with you, MIS, but don't ask me where I am. It doesn't matter. And I did that. And I was like, from every colleague of mine, what are you doing? Gone crazy, absolutely. She's your key person. How could you? But I did not get a single call. The work was done. Actually better, because people feel more responsible. You give them freedom, they feel more responsible. That's my experience, at least, personally. Yeah.
So one question.
Yeah.
How do you keep two high-performing guys motivated?
How do you keep high-performing guys motivated?
Two. I mean, if there are two, there's always a expectation from both, right?
Yeah. So high-performing people will, as I said, will need faster rotation. I mean, that's one way of, they will need experiences. They will need 5 experiences in the time in which typically you and I will do 2. So faster rotation, faster delivery of performance, and I don't say promote them. It can be a career lattice, not career ladder. We call it career lattice. Move them laterally and move them as much as you can. So a different jobs to be done, a different experience to be given. I'm sure some companies can do it. Some may not be able to do it. I mean, that's a challenge. But some companies which can do, they should do. An AR to an AP to a GL is accounting part, business partnering is second part, manufacturing accounting is a third part, FPN is a fourth part. There are many places where we can give experience. Audit is a 5th part. So multiple experiences can be given to these high-performing people. And the other thing which you should do, can I take 2-3 more minutes, Varsha? Is it okay? In the last session, right? I mean, so expose them to business early. Yeah, I'll give you an anecdote. It's a very interesting anecdote. I was interviewing with so HUL I joined, and there the culture was that 6 months after you join, chairman interviews you. Are you fit now to be absorbed as a manager or not? It's quite crazy actually. So my meeting was with Dr. Ganguly, Dr. Ashok Ganguly, if you've heard about him, the old-time chairman, scientist. So I went for the interview, and he asked me the soap making formula, chemical formula of soap making. I said, wow. But I was prepared by Keki Dadu said that you can be asked this question, so you better know it. So I told him. And then he told me, he said, why do we want you to be trained in business side of it or manufacturing side of it is because unless you know this, you will not know where the leakages are, where are the byproducts of the soap making process, where the yields are going down. It's a very interesting aspect of it. Similarly, in J&J when I was working, so I actually had identified for every employee 7 days of market work, working with the salesman, in the market, with the customers, with doctors, surgeons. And initially there was resistance. I don't know surgeons. How can I talk, pharma or medical devices with the surgeons? But just observe the sales guys. You'll understand how you sell your product. You'll relate more to your business, basically, right? And believe you me, that brought our people much closer to the business side of people. The relationship became much more warmer, and it actually helped a lot, both sides. And similarly with the manufacturing side, 7 days market, 2 days warehouse, 3 days manufacturing, so 10 days of no finance work, and 7 days of training. I talked about training earlier, 7 days identified training. So 17, 18 days, work days, no finance work, actually motivated these people a lot. I had a 96% retention rate, over 14 years of period. So these things do help. And this is for everybody, whether performance high or low, but all had to do this. If they did not complete this, their rating will not go through a year end. They will not get an increment. So they have to find time. They can't say I don't have time. And their work only they will do. Nobody else will do that in that period. And they did that, by the way. It worked. So there are different ways of handling it, yeah. I think we need to close. So I would, just kind of capture some thoughts in closing. I've been kind of involved with Varsha and the team to set up the agenda for this conference. So a little more closer to it, because she came to me that, can you help us do this? I think we had a great session in the morning, if you ask me. when we discussed AI and digital. That was fascinating, even to me. The Zepto example, for example, what he talked about, the increasing compliance needs, about those thousands of compliances, and that example which we gave on Boat, they're using AI to address customer feedback. That was, I think, quite interesting. And Pidilite getting distributors, how to influence distributors, for example, on technology, on apps. That was also a great example which they gave. And HUL, of course, using apps during COVID was also a good example given by that panel. So something to think about, learn from this. And the sessions from the 4 partners, Anaplan, DBS, SAP, and Thomson Reuters, I think these were interesting inputs to how to do this now. Now we know what to do, but they are the how part, that these are the kind of people who can provide you solutions, that how to take it forward. Now, that doesn't mean that we must use them, but they are available to people like us. Yeah. And then I think sustainability, I've heard Giri before many times. He's been my co-panelist as well in some sessions. And the team, they were like amazing, absolutely. They talked about sustainability. Each time you listen to it, it looks like, oh wow, we're going to be seeing a different world altogether. I, as an angel investor, have just invested in a company which actually now gives rating points to each product in each company. It started happening. So there's a startup which the only job is to rate products and rate companies. And they'll give a rating like TripAdvisor, 4.0, 3.8, 3.9. And the youngsters and many customers, consumers are looking at some kind of rating for a company, whether I should buy or not buy. And if people don't buy, obviously sales will drop and finance is automatically impacted. So there's a linkage between sustainability and finance, which we don't see today, but more and more we'll start seeing it as we go forward. So I think it's a pretty interesting session. Cost is close to our heart. It's our bread and butter. So Tanu's session on cost and cost. I like this cost saving to cost optimization. I think that's a very important fundamental shift in our mind, which we need to have, that it's not saving, it's about optimization. And so we should spend, but spend at the right place. So save here and spend here. It's not about saving and making more profit. It's about taking money out from place A and putting it in place B, which is the right place. I think that's how I look at it, of course. Yeah. And finally, of course, people, and I really would like to say that hiring for the future. To your point again, how do you retain people? But I would say hire for the future. A lot of people hire for the present. What is my need for today? But I think we're moving to a stage where we need to hire for the future, looking at the changing trends which we have around us. Yeah. With this, thank you very much, Varsha, and thank you everyone for listening to me. Thank you.